What's up, everyone? It is Denise Salcedo and Will Washington. Welcome to After the Week podcast and what has been probably one of the wildest, one of the craziest wrestling weeks of all time. Also, if you are here instead of watching the NFL, thank you so much. If you're watching us at the exact same time, we appreciate you, man. But Will, happy Sunday. How's it going?
It's going great, and I wish I could say that this is one of those weeks. Like, I'm excited to talk about everything from this week, but I recognize that it's without the greatest of circumstances surrounding it all. And it's been busy. It's been nuts. I have barely gotten time to take everything in. I didn't even get a chance to watch Clash at the Castle till Thursday. Because I was so busy. I was in Chicago all week last week. I was with you most of the time. And then, you got a chance to watch it because you had to review it for Fightful. I didn't get a chance to watch any of that. And by the time like Monday kicks in, you got to start like watching the week's wrestling, right? And so I just got to watch all of that. I'm a Broncos fan, so I don't have to deal with football this Sunday. It'll be a next Sunday kind of thing. But we got the Monday night game this week and get to see Russell Wilson do his thing as a Bronco for the first time officially tomorrow.
Exciting stuff, man. And it's funny too, because the way that I see like the wrestling week, sometimes the way that you described it, where you couldn't watch Clash at the Castle, and so you just have to keep going. It's like a ball that's chasing you and you're running. And if you stop and watch one show and you weren't supposed to, it's gonna just like tumble you because all of a sudden you're behind on the week's show. And that's the thing, like this week has been, nuts. Everybody has been talking about that number one thing that everybody has been talking about, and that is the drama. The drama. Well, let me ask you, because we're not going to get into you've covered it extensively. I've covered it extensively. But let me ask you one question. Are you sick and tired of talking about the AEW drama? Are you there yet?
Here's what I will say. CM Punk, and I told him this to his face once, and he laughed, has made me a lot of money. And it's funny how conversations around things about CM Punk do really, really well for us wrestling media people. So, like, in that regard, I can't really complain, right? And on the other side, it just, like, it makes me really sad. And I wish this was the last I'll be talking about it, but you'll hear about it a little bit later. But no, I guess I'm not really, like, sick of it because... Dude, we watched like history unfold like right in front of our faces, and
we had no idea. We had no idea. Like I thought, was it the first time or the second time or the third time that we'd seen CM Punk as part of these scrums? He's like the biggest star we get in these scrums. So I thought, okay, it's a normal day at the office. Press record. Never thought that everything was going to go down the way that it went down.
Not in the slightest. And that was, and even still, I was like almost failing to grasp the magnitude of things. Like, just to give you guys some perspective out there, sitting there in the media, I don't want to say scrum anymore because like they're not scrums, they're really press conferences. But AEW has been titling them scrums still, so whatever, they're media scrums. But like sitting there in the scrum, of course, I did get a text that said, hey, there's like physical violence happening right now. There's like punches being thrown, like it's not good. And even then, I was still like on the drive back. I don't think I was really grasping the magnitude of like what truly happened there. And
I will never forget the drive back because we got in the car and we all had different mentalities. I saw Phil Lindsay's face was like glowing. He was glowing. He looked like he had just won a Grammy. He was so happy. He was so excited to talk about everything. You were so hyped. You were like, yeah, like let's go. And I was like, Will, hit the gas brake, like hit the gas pedal. Yeah, we need to go. I'm like, you need to drive and drop me off at my hotel right the fuck now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In the nicest way possible. Denise is like, look, I don't give a fuck what the rest of you guys have planned for your night. I have to get back to my hotel. I have to get to editing. I got to get to doing all this shit because I have gold content like right here.
I literally told Will, just dump me in my hotel. I don't give a damn. Dump me anywhere. I need to get to my hotel.
She's like, I will
now.
tuck and roll, just like get me out of here. I don't care about anything else. I'm like, hey, you hungry? She's like, no, I have editing to do. So I mean, it was great stuff though. But like, again, it wasn't until maybe about an hour later that my text messages start getting like more and more serious. And, like, the first one was just like, oh shit, there's been punches thrown, all that. And then I'm like, then they're like, somebody's gonna lose their job over this. And I thought, oh shit. And then I start thinking back about Tony did kind of sit there through all of that, and like, what are the ramifications for him going to be? And then by Monday morning, it was just a completely different ball game. All of a sudden, the suspensions were flying, and we knew that the show as we knew it wasn't going to be the same going forward. And so that sucks. And I have a little bit more on that later, but that's not to say that was the only thing that took place this week. I almost hate that I did see some great stuff this week, and that it's all been overshadowed by the end of the weekend happenings. Because like I had a great time at FanFest in Hoffman Estates. I had a great time at GCW. I had a great time just being around, and at All Out I had a great time.
You had a great time existing, Will.
I did. I had a great time just existing this past weekend. And shout out to everybody who came and said hi at FanFest, and everybody who said hi at GCW. It was just a great time. I had a great time, and I hate that the end of the weekend pretty much like soured my mood on all of it. Well, as preparing for this show, I had to start thinking back throughout the week, and I thought, I actually did enjoy a lot of stuff. Why do I feel so angry and mad about this week? And now I realize why. So,
well, we'll get to all of that, because for those of you who are new to this show and you're like, well, how is this show any different from what Denise and Will already do? So what we do on this show after we banter a little bit is we're going to pick our 3 best moments in wrestling from what we saw, and then the one worst thing that happened in wrestling from what we saw. And for this week, because we weren't here last Sunday due to All Out and we were in Chicago, we are going to count the week starting from Clash at the Castle to today. So everything that happened between Clash at the Castle to today will qualify as an option for us here today to talk about. And if you do want to send in a super chat at any point throughout the show, you are more than welcome to. Not only does that help support the show, but it helps me pay Will Washington so we can keep doing this show. But we do got a couple of super chats here. The first one here is from Orion Ben 666, who says, watching you and the Jets, here's my wishes for you for a great show. Thank you, dude. For those of you who do not know, I do root for the Jets. I don't know if you're aware of this little fact about me, Will, but my husband is a big Jets fan. So apparently when I was informed that once he and I became a thing, I have to cheer for his team. Now, prior to this, I did not watch football at all. So I do not have a
fair
team.
Then. If you didn't have a team, that's fair. If it is one of those, no, you're married to me, now you're adopting my team.
No.
Okay,
I'm not that kind of girl, Will. I'm not that kind of girl. You think I would just be like, oh, yes, honey, whatever you say, honey.
I know, that's what I was worried about here. I was like, I hope that's not the case, but fine.
No, I was
Jets.
hesitant for a while, but I'm like, oh, it's his team. I was like, I'm going to respond to it. And, the only games that I've watched are all Jets games. So there you go.
The sadness here is that, like,
that I've only really watched Jets games.
I mean, well, because like you don't really get to see like a good team, and that kind of sucks. But
I don't care. I don't care. I love the drama. We got a super chat here from Jester Designs, who says, you could say karma got MJF back for the drama he caused that overshadowed Wardlow. I feel like that was definitely something that if Alanis Morissette would have written Ironic about, she probably would have added this to that song, because it is kind of true. I completely agree with this. We'll talk about MJF here tonight as we continue on with the show, but thank you so much to Jester Designs for sending in this super chat. So, Will, are we ready to get into our picks of the week?
I am. Can you start this week? Because I started last week, and 2 weeks ago. So I feel like we should go in reverse.
That's totally fine with me. Okay, here we go. So we're going to kick it off with our 3rd best pick of the week and then just go from there, everybody. So here we go. Denise's pick for the 3rd best of the week. So, I was thinking back, and keep in mind, a lot of amazing stuff happened on this week. Now, I'm trying to get a little bit from each show. So I'm continuing what I did last week, and I'm going to give my 3rd best slot to something that occurred on NXT 2.0. All right. I know Will's like, oh God, why the hell? But I'm going to be, there was actually something that I legitimately enjoyed talking about. And those of you that watched NXT 2.0 or watched the post show know what I'm talking about. And that was the Mako Satomura match against Roxanne Perez. That was a match that I thought not only did, it was like the number one thing to talk about on that show, period. So that's one thing that's like gets you up there. But it really got me excited about Roxanne Perez. Like, I was already a fan of this girl. She's already been doing like a kick-ass job, etc. You know, she's a star on the rise. We already all know that she came in with a fan base, etc. She's been killing it. And the company seems to be behind her since they've been doing a lot with her. But I think this match in particular, Mako really brought something out of Roxanne that we hadn't seen on NXT 2.0 just yet. And I really do feel like it kind of elevated her into something a little bit more than when we had seen previously. And I completely forgot I had this photo up here. But I really do think that she kind of leveled up a little bit. And even though she lost in this match, she didn't lose anything, man. I feel she gained more than anything in this match because now I just want to see more and more that she can do with other women on the roster. So that was my pick for third best of the week, was that match. And we do have a super chat here from Caden. A shout out to Caden who says Denise likes furries confirmed. I don't get it. Wait, you get it, Phil? Will, I don't call you Phil. Sorry. I'm thinking about Phil Brooks. Sorry.
Like, that better be the case. Yes, of course I get that. Wait,
were you going to say I was thinking about Phil Lindsay?
So I get it. And now I'm curious. Please tell me you understand furries. Please tell me this isn't another one of those things. Oh no. No, please tell me this isn't a thing. Please tell me we're not here. No. Oh, this rules.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to say anything.
This fucking
How about
rules.
This? How about
all right,
this?
Now,
you just explain.
This is so great.
I hate my life, Will. I hate my life.
I love it. I absolutely
hold
love
on.
it.
This is not I thought this was like something that was wrestling related that maybe I didn't know about. Oh, this is, I thought, okay, well, either I'm going to look stupid or like, okay, so I'm going to look stupid. Okay, thanks. Continue on.
Yeah, okay. So the chat is just having fun with this. They love that this is another step host moment, and I absolutely love this. I wish Sean were here to
start hitting myself.
Denise, I want you first to guess what you think furries are.
Okay, well, my first assumption to furries is like those little tiny furry animals that people collect. You know, those little furry pets?
You're on the right track. Now I want you to think about.
Don't tell me that has to do with the vagina.
No, not specifically.
Okay,
but what I want you to do is now think about how what you just said can be transformed. And I love how the chat says, no, those are Furbies. But I want you to now.
Furbies. That's what I was thinking about. Furbies.
I want you to now think about.
What did I say? Was this in regards to Roxanne? To that match? Was it something I said about that?
Either way, we're stuck on now the idea of you not knowing what furries are. This fucking rules. I can't believe you have as large of a presence on the internet as you have, and respectfully you do. And yet, probably one of the most popular fetishes on earth.
Feet fetish?
What?
Will, you're going to have to explain this at some point.
Oh, I am. I'm absolutely going to.
So what fetish is it?
It is a fetish that surrounds dressing like animals? You are still not following. All right, this rules. All right, so the official definition of furry fandom is a subculture interested in anthropomorphic animal characters. In other words,
like cosplay? Role playing.
Denise, I want you to just look up furries right now.
Oh, God. Hold on 1 second. Furry fandom. And there's like some furry girl. There's like a wolf girl.
Yeah, so look up, just go images.
Okay, so it's
Hopefully
like
your safe search is on.
I don't know. I'm clicking on a Vox article.
Sure, but look at all of that now. Everything in that picture.
Yeah,
now.
everybody's dressed like some sort of animal.
Yes. Now, imagine all of those people having sex, because that's
Like a furry orgy.
Sure, or just with each other. Furry culture
But no,
is
and
very
they're
much a
wearing
thing.
costumes. Clearly, they take the costumes off, right?
No, there's like little openings. Denise, you don't know about furry culture?
No, I've never heard about furry culture in my entire life.
Denise, this fucking rules.
I'm sorry, but like, I don't know what y'all's timelines look like, but my timeline does not have any like inappropriateness. Okay, my timeline is literally like nothing that has anything to do with furry culture, or I have none of that. I literally just like it's. I don't know what to say.
Now, of course, being corrected in the chat, they're noting that furry culture is not exclusively sexual, but that's the part everyone hears about. Of course, that's the part we all hear about, because that's the funniest part. And not to shame anybody, if that's your thing.
So you're telling me that if I dressed up like an animal, does it have to be a specific kind of animal?
No.
Any animal. I can dress as a giraffe.
Absolutely.
And go do it with other people dressed as giraffes.
They don't have to be giraffes. Sometimes a panda bear wants to do it with a giraffe. That's fine.
So that's look, I know that I would get in trouble for kink shaming, so I'm not even going to go there, but let's just say that my world is opened up and not in a way that I want to know more about. Look, color me vanilla right now, but I ain't about this life. I am not about no furry life. Okay. And I also don't know what I said about Mako and Roxanne that led to this talk about furries.
Well, I'll say this about Mako and Roxanne. That this is just a shining example of the best of what WWE can do when it uses its outside resources. Because I saw a tweet that had said, that was talking up the match between Mako and Roxanne, and it had said something along the lines of, see, this is why the PC is the best. And then somebody had corrected that saying, hey, neither of these people, especially Mako, are you crazy, are products of the PC. If anything, this is a shining example of when WWE uses its outside resources. They take somebody like Mako, who has a giant career behind her, that literally her match on Nitro is older than Roxanne herself, right? And then you have Roxanne, who really made a name for herself the last few years, and the indies as Roxy, and you combine these two things and remind people that the best thing you can do is, again, use your resources from around the world, and I feel like this was a good example of that. So it's a good pick. I can see your face is elsewhere though, and still stuck on furries, but I can say it was a good pick.
Well, you know what? I did learn something today. Those little furry animals are called Furbies.
Yes.
Shucky Ducky sends in a super chat saying, no, there are little openings. Will 2022. Oh, the little openings for the little thing. Okay, yeah. I get it. Juan Ortiz says, Denise Furry Salcedo, everyone. God, Lord. I was just starting to shake off the sub host thing. I was starting to shake that off. Ramin Naji says, Brian has to beat almost everyone he's lost against to win the AEW title. Just left a 5-star Scissor Me Mama Mindy review for Mindy's Bakery. I wonder what their line looked like the day that they opened up Mindy's Bakery.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the reviews are so great, though. I've been reading just the pages and pages of them, and everybody leaving 5 stars on them. It's great. And everybody referencing doors being kicked down. All of it is just great stuff.
God, if I was Mindy's Bakery right now, I'd be like, woo! I'd be so happy, man. Alrighty. Well, now that my pick already started off in a controversial way, Will, what is your third best pick of the week in wrestling from what you saw?
I'm going to give some recognition to something that has been so forgotten. When I say it, a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, that actually did take place, because it is so far gone. It's actually a shame that we forgot about it. But did you know we actually crowned Trios champions on Sunday, and that the Dark Order was defeated by the Elite in what was actually a really great match. And it was probably one of the most exciting matches on the card. It had the crowd into it. I remember looking at it, and this was the first time just watching it in the crowd that I felt like Kenny Omega was back kind of in full form. I thought that, he had been the first match he worked. He was really selling the injuries and all of that. And he had the shirt on and the shoulder guard on. And then in the second match, he had the shirt and the rib tape and all of that. And he had that ripped off by Will Ospreay. But this week, he was like full form, Kenny Omega, no more selling injuries. I'm going all for it. I thought the story with the Dark Order was great. I thought Johnny Hungy, John Silver, was almost the star of this match. He was doing, he was just kind of all out, going crazy out there. Alex Reynolds got a chant for the first time in his career. The crowd was chanting Alex Reynolds. And the story that it ended up being Hangman, who actually ended up taking out his own partner with the buckshot lariat, resulting in the Elite getting the victory. I thought this was a fun match. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great establishment of what the Trios division could be. I can't believe that by the end of the night, this match wasn't even the second most important thing. It wasn't even the fifth most important thing to have taken place. So I wanted to give it its credit because these guys aren't even Trios champions anymore. But I actually thought this was a really great match. I had a lot of fun with it. And I am really sad that at the end of the day, it's pretty much washed away. We're not going to think about any parts of this any longer.
And I'm happy that you put that on your list because that was actually my favorite match at All Out. I thought it was the best match of the night, hands down. And I know some people may, choose some other stuff, but that's fine. I legitimately thought this match was really freaking great. And yeah, honestly, I can't blame you for putting it on there. And I feel bad too that it's not a forgotten match. I think it's just more so that there's just other things to talk about.
Well, honestly, I do feel it is forgotten because even though it's probably easy to say it was the best match of the night. It wasn't the most interesting match of the night because that's also on my list. But again, all of it's forgotten. And the fact that now we don't even have Kenny and the Bucks around anymore. It's not a thing anybody's going to talk about. That's not the crowning match anymore. It's crazy how now there's all of these rumors around the Bucks. I had to give this match its flowers because I really think that all six guys delivered here and gave us the best match they could have for this tournament and the best way they could have wrapped it up.
I also like that Kenny Omega after the match, basically told straight to the camera that he challenged the guys in the back to do a better job than that. And I was like, hindsight, looking at even then, but in hindsight, looking at that, I was like, oh, where are we going with this, huh? Who's this being directed to?
I said on Grapsody yesterday that I feel like CM Punk and Kenny Omega both came back with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, both from their injuries. And I feel like it all came to a head essentially after the show was over.
Yeah, you bet. Hell yeah. That shit was crazy. Okay, we got a super chat here from Dream Ninja 77 who says, it's so amazing that Denise being so innocent and not knowing stab stuff. Furry, man, the list goes on. Is a shoot and not a work just amazing? I don't even want to say this because I remember when the whole OnlyFans thing started off, I remember I had posted today was the first day I heard about I just heard about OnlyFans. And apparently it had been a thing now for a very long time and everybody was shocked about that. And so I just feel now it's just a thing. And every time I feel I'm up to date, something new comes out. So just these, the kinks, they're just, it's like trying to keep up with technology.
To be fair,
to be furry.
To be fair, furries have been around a really long time. So that surprised me that you didn't know that. That was a thing I knew about.
Why would I know that? Why would I know that? That's my question. Why?
I am 5 years older than you, and I knew about that in high school. So that's that's the thing
I find. Back to then?
Yes, absolutely.
This isn't a new thing?
No.
I just thought, anime stuff is really popular, so I figured it fell into that category. I don't know.
The thing I love most is that the longer Denise is around us, folks, the more corrupted she becomes. And
not really, because I ain't going out there and being let me search up furries.
yet.
Oh God, no. Here we go. Denise's second best pick of the week for the wrestling week. I got to give this to on the WWE side of things, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, what I thought was a phenomenal match at a big pay-per-view, and that was Sheamus and Gunther that ended up getting 5 stars, by the way. I just think first and foremost, this match was literally everything that it needed to be. It was hard hitting. It was two guys just kicking each other's butt. It was what I envisioned from Gunther on the main roster, like what I wanted from him, period. Sheamus was absolutely the best opponent for that because he's somebody that you don't have to suspend your disbelief and try to pretend that Sheamus is a tough guy. No, you look at him and you know that he's like that kind of a guy, right? Like he's gonna be like, you don't have to you suspend your disbelief to believe that he's a tough competitor to be opposite of Gunther. So I feel that Sheamus was a great competitor for Gunther. He went out there and instead of like, I mentioned this before, and I mentioned when talking about this match, is there's times where you see certain guys like chop each other in the wrestling ring, right? And there's usually one guy that tends to chop a lot harder than the other one. And sometimes it's a little bit noticeable, and you kind of have to be like, oh, I'm going to suspend my disbelief a little bit there just so that I can enjoy the match. But with this, it was polar opposite. Like we know Gunther has like the hardest chops, right? Okay, fine. But Sheamus came at him with an incredible amount of force where I didn't feel like he felt like less than Gunther during this. And there was just so many different portions of this match that I was so invested at. And the number one thing that I felt that I said immediately after watching this was when people go back and think of Clash at the Castle, this is the match this is the moment that they're going to be like, that right there, that match was worth it for me. That was the reason why I went to this event. And I just feel like it's something that's talked about. And then on top of that, they followed it up tremendously on SmackDown with the trios match that they did with the Imperium and the Brawling Brutes. And I love that too, because the whole time there was this anticipation of when are Sheamus and Gunther going to get in the ring again? When is Sheamus and Gunther going to get into the ring again? And so that to me kind of felt like they did something successful. Like they got you excited about two people on the show. And also with that being said, it got you excited about the people that they essentially surround themselves with. So personally, I feel that Sheamus and Gunther added so much to that programming. They're adding so much to SmackDown already, which was highly needed because SmackDown, I still think needs a lot more interesting stuff. And so I think that they added just so much across the board. And I feel like if tomorrow they were like, okay, we're going to get Sheamus and Gunther at Extreme Rules, and I hope that's what they end up doing, or maybe a trios match or whatever, I know that people aren't going to be like, oh man. No, people are going to be like, all right, let's go. So I love this. I thought this was phenomenal. That was my pick for second best of the week.
Good. It's a great match. It honestly is one of the best matches to take place this year. And I can't disagree with that pick at all. I think Sheamus has been, honestly, for the last 10 years, one of the best in-ring workers WWE's had that has gone underappreciated because, controversial take here, Vince has never really known how to present Sheamus until really like the last 3 years, like really till the bar. So I'll give him, how long ago was the bar? 6 years. So like 6 years. But when he's had a 13-year career, he did spend 7 years like Sheamus won his first title by John Cena falling through a table. Like we know that Vince never really knew how to make this guy look like the badass he like can be. And I feel like these last few years, Sheamus has really gotten to show all of that. And Phil Lindsay mentioned yesterday how, like, we were just talking a year ago about Sheamus's career could be over, right? There was all the talk of him having spinal stenosis, how, it may be winding down. And yet, if that's the case, and I don't think so anymore, this last year of his especially, he has gotten to show us how much he has to offer. As he likes to say, he's offering banger after banger after banger after
He commented on one of my posts, and I was like, at first I didn't get it. I was like, wait, is he doing this to everybody? And I was like, okay, thank God. I don't want to beef with Sheamus.
But yeah, he and Gunther's another one who I think his presentation on the main roster has basically been fairly flawless. He has gotten to be exactly who people wanted him to be. I know people were worried about the name because, let's face it, Gunther is just still not as chantable as Walter. But he still has gotten to be exactly who people wanted him to be on the main roster, if not a little bit better. And now we also got Imperium back in the fold in this match. I think everything about this was just flawlessly presented. The crowd was exactly into it. This honestly could have main evented, but nothing's going on after Roman. No, this was great stuff. And a great way to present the Intercontinental title as well. I agree.
Completely agreed. Glad you added that part because that's a big point there. We got a super chat here from Smart Psychology Podcast that says, one of our favorite discoveries of yours is when you just found out about the cars in the 90s that had automatic seatbelts. Oh, yeah. I tweeted about that. That was a long time ago, actually. I forgot.
You didn't know about that.
I was watching some TV show or a movie or something. I forgot what I was watching. And I saw that they had the automatic seatbelts. And I was like, what the? Like, I've just always known the seatbelts that, you pull, not the ones that are like automatic. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
My parents definitely had the cars that you sat down in, you started the ignition and it went zzz and came back. And then I remember thinking that was the coolest thing the first time we got that. And I was like, we've moved into the future because we have automatic seatbelts. And now nobody wants that. That is honestly like a completely inconvenient feature that's actually more annoying than anything else.
See, I can't even give you an opinion of how I would feel about that because I legitimately did not know that. But maybe I don't know if it was I was probably just too young to remember. I clearly don't remember anything. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, at this point, if it's not Taylor Swift for wrestling, don't expect Denise to know about it. This is why she studies and asks questions. Still love you, Denise. The corruption of the dark side continues. Thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson, a huge supporter of so many of the podcasts. So thank you so much to Sheldon as well. All right, let me get caught up here with everything that's going on. We got a lot of people, pretty much putting over this match as well. Everybody putting on this. This is a comment from Leonard who says, Sheamus is another big name who they could reheat for a thing with Roman. AJ Styles is another who, especially now, could have a major banger with Roman. There are options out there for Roman. And I want to circle back to the Sheamus thing because I think right now if they were to be like, hey, let's do Sheamus and Roman, everybody would be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Because he like you said, it reheated him definitely. So I do think that this is right now, if they want to do something with I was gonna say Walter, with Sheamus, this is the time to do it because he earned I don't want to say he earned a lot of people's respect because I think he already had people's respect, but it was more so he just reminded people of what he can do. All right, so Will, your second best of the week.
Second best this week also happens to fall in the All Out to Dynamite range. And that happens to be another tag match we saw that also involved the titles. And that would be the Acclaimed challenging Swerve in Our Glory for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Let me tell you, this match was already top to bottom phenomenal. And I knew it would be going into it. I knew how hard those guys were working to put this match together. But the part I wasn't expecting was, I knew the crowd was going to be on the Acclaimed side because the Acclaimed has had a natural rise in AEW. And that's been something that's been fascinating to watch. They literally came in on Dark as a dark act, worked their way up to becoming main roster, not main roster, but I guess main show losers, and then worked their way to being dark winners, and then worked their way to being main show winners. And it's they kind of showed, when people kind of knock Dark in ways, they kind of showed that the Dark system actually can work and it can get somebody from nothing to absolute somethings. And to watch that have transpired over the last 2 years, it's only been 2 years since this act even existed. And to see them here at All Out getting cheered the way they were, I knew they'd be cheered, but I didn't know how much. The Scissor Me Daddy chants were phenomenal. And
I'm still waiting for my shirt, Will.
I got a shipment confirmation, actually. So you should see it in the next couple of days. I want to see it on this show next week. So, but yeah, the crowd chanting, "Oh, Scissor Me Daddy," was so great. And Billy Gunn's involvement, just everything along those lines. But the part I very much liked that gets overshadowed was how much they were able to get Swerve specifically to the heel side they were intentionally going for. I think that, like I said, and I wasn't thinking it was going to make news, but I forget that sometimes when I say things, people are like, well, Will would know. And so all of a sudden I say something on a podcast and people run with it. But I did say that it's been pretty intentional trying to get Swerve turned heel for a while. They started it back at the Dynamite in Kansas City back in June, that was. And then they kind of had to take a break because of all the Hardy stuff, and they had to put the tag titles on Swerve and Keith Lee. But ultimately, there's still been little elements planted here and there of like making sure that you know that Swerve is a little bit self-centered, he's a little bit egotistical, like all those sprinkles had been there. But then this match was used to kind of send it into overdrive. And the way he was mocking the fans, the way he was mocking the Acclaim, the way he got in their face, did the scissor stuff. And then even at the end of the match, after Keith and Swerve won and the crowd was booing, and then Billy Gunn comes over and he offers as a sign of respect to scissor with, saying this out loud even sounds weird, but he offers as a sign of respect to scissor with Keith Lee. And Keith Lee accepts, but then Swerve walks off and flips off the camera. And again, it was like little stuff like that. And I thought the reason I said All Out to Dynamite was because I thought they parlayed that perfectly into Dynamite, where that following Wednesday, Max Caster spent the whole day hyping up what his rap was going to be. And everybody's like, oh, he's coming after the CM Punk stuff. Oh my God, he's going to talk about the fight with the Elite. He's going to talk about all this stuff. Can't wait to hear what Max Caster has to say. And the second he is about to hit the rap, Swerve's music hits, gets rained on with boos, and he pretty much cements his role here as an antagonist to the fans. But they're smart enough to not keep Keith Lee out there with him, because Keith Lee, in this case, I think is going to remain the babyface. And so I just like the way all of this played out. I thought the match itself was so much fun. I thought that they made it so believable that the Acclaim belonged and that they can become tag team champions, to the point of where, hell, we are now a week and some change away from Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium, New York, where the Acclaimed is from. Perfect place to crown them champs. Now, especially knowing how much the fans wanted to see it at All Out, to go now the extra step and get to see it in their hometown, I think is going to be excellent. But I thought just everything here was so great. I think, the stat is out there now that on Cage Match, this match is the first AEW match in history to be ranked in the AEW top 10 matches and doesn't include a member of the Elite. It's simply the Acclaimed, Keith Lee, and Swerve. Swerve was on Grap City last week, and he talked about how he's going to change the narrative around black wrestlers, and I feel like this was that first step. Great stuff. I can't wait to see the rematch in a week and some change at Grand Slam.
All right. So I agree with you on everything except one thing and one thing. All right. So I agree that the match was great. I like the crowd being there in person. The chants were great. I mean, you already mentioned that, and I completely agree. Like, I do not recall any match that night getting this reaction from the crowd, where it was like every little moment where like the Acclaim kicked out or you thought the Acclaim was gonna win. I mean, the building was ready to go nuts. And here's the funny part: if you remember, you and I and Phil, we all did our All Out predictions, and I said, oh, I think that, Swerve and Our Glory should win, and your pick was the Acclaimed. The second that this match started and I saw the crowd reaction, I was like, nope, it's got to be the Acclaimed. Like, they got to win this match. Like, based on how everybody's acting, based on just like the overall, like everybody being on the edge of their toes, edge of their seat, whatever. Everybody was so excited, right? And people were so invested in this match. It was a fun match. It was worked very great. All of that good stuff. However, I am on the side where I feel, and I get that they were saving it for Grand Slam. I 100% get that. But I do feel that after the Acclaimed loss, it took a lot out of that audience, Will. That audience died afterwards, all right? It was dead as hell. I felt bad for the women, too, because they had to come out right after that. And, like, literally, like, they tried their best to get the crowd back. And they reacted to a couple of things. Mainly, they were reacting to, like, Jamie Hayter. Because she was very much over with the crowd, too. But, like, even when Toni Storm won, that reaction was not a good reaction. Like in terms
Oh,
of
I thought she should have hit Storm Zero to win because I feel like people didn't even realize that was the finish.
Exactly. So it fell flat. It completely fell flat. The finish fell flat. And then it was just like, I feel like the crowd didn't come back until the main event. And, that was obviously going to happen. But I really do think that the loss did impact the crowd.
Sure. I can see that. That's the part I think they didn't anticipate was how much, like I talked to people before the match, I knew that they knew what the reaction was going to be. And they knew that it was going to be used to get some hate on Swerve and Our Glory. That was intentional. I don't think they anticipated how strong it was going to be.
And how lasting it was going to be.
Yeah, and how lasting it was going to be. I still think that for the story they're trying to tell, the right call was Swerve and Keith Lee winning, because ultimately now they walk in with a lot more heat and a lot more hate. And I think in New York, in front of the biggest crowd AEW has, I think there's going to be a lot more vitriol toward them, which is intentional. And there's going to be a lot more like, you better push the Acclaim this time from that crowd. I almost feel bad that I know that match was originally intended to be the highlight match of Grand Slam before they knew they had to also now crown a new world champion. And so I do feel bad that this is no longer that match anymore, because now we're probably going to get a world champ crowned. But either way, I think everybody is better off for this match having taken place. Everybody involved.
We got a super chat here from Deontay Swainier, who says, it's Sunday. It's two of my fave people. Denise almost and Mill. Will is the best dad. Just wanted to spread some hype today. Love you guys. Have a good one. Thank you so much for coming on here and showing some love. We appreciate it. You have no idea. So thank you so much. Smart Psychology Podcast says, do you think Keith Lee should or would turn heel? Also, the cocky way he sounded in the scrum kind of got me feeling that idea. Will, you seem to have very passionate thoughts about this. So what are your thoughts?
I don't think so. I think that the fans are so willing to love Keith Lee. I think maybe he should show just a little bit of an edgier side. I don't know that you need to turn him for that. As a matter of fact, I have said previously that I like the dynamic of Swerve and Keith Lee essentially being opposites, and Swerve becoming more of a jerk when Keith's not around. I mentioned yesterday on Grapsity, for those of you who don't watch Grapsity, I'm going to repeat this point. But I mentioned yesterday that kind of one thing I want to see is the Sting Luger dynamic, which was a storyline that never got wrapped up in '95, which was Luger being the heel, Sting being the babyface, and Luger only acting like a true jackass when Sting's not around or when Sting's not watching. And then when Sting was around, like one of the most famous bits they would do is during their entrance, Sting would be high-fiving the fans and Luger would kind of be scoffing at the fans. And then when Sting turns around and looks at Luger, Luger's like, no, I'm high-fiving the fans. We're good. And so I kind of want to see that kind of dynamic. And they kind of showed that in the media scrum where Tony announces the match for Grand Slam. Keith is like, yeah, I'll take on the challenge. And Swerve is like, what the hell? No, we gave these guys a chance. Fuck these guys. Send them to the back of the line. I want to see more of that. I want to see that stay their dynamic. They don't even have to stay champions for that to be the case, but I would like to see that stay their dynamic before they ultimately go for the split.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that would add that adds a lot of fun to it. We got a super chat here from Dream Ninja 77 who says the crowd deflating after that match and the show length really hurt All Out overall, in my opinion. Helped make it my third fave show of the weekend personally. And here's the thing, I've been to so many of these big AEW pay-per-views and have experienced the crowd. I will tell you that this show was the one that I was most having to work to stay focused. You know what I mean? I found myself spacing out a little bit, looking around, seeing what's up, chatting with people, checking my Twitter.
You had the box too, and you were like,
I was cruising. I had a bump. I could not believe this whole time people would always say oh yeah, suites are great. I'm like, yeah, but you're all the way up there. That's no fun, right? Holy shit, I was so wrong, dude. It's freaking awesome. I had a little table. No one sat next to me. I was charging my phone. I had my plate of food. I had my hotspot connected. It was marvelous. It's going to be hard to go back to normal life after this, by the way. I'm going to want that sweet life forever.
The sweet life of Denise Salcedo.
The sweet life. Yeah, exactly. Did you used to watch The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, or were you already over the age limit for that period of time?
A little bit over the age limit.
Okay, well, that used to be my show, right? I used to watch The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
I figured, like, you're about the age of my siblings, so like that was their show.
But yeah, I do agree with a lot of what Dream Ninja 77 said there. All right, guys. So we're about to get into our first picks of the week, which is our very, very, very best. And so far, I love this show because Will and I have absolutely none of our picks in common. So I feel like this is a great show to catch just because some people may agree with Will, some people with me, some people with neither, some people with both. And I feel like that's what adds a lot of fun to this. But before we continue on into our very best, just a heads up, guys, Will and I, this is a new show. This is a new show. This is barely our second show. We're still working at things to make things a little bit more better and just more viewer friendly. So we are working on things. On top of that, just make sure to come back every Sunday, 10 a.m. This is where we're going to be live to do the show. You can always catch the replay. Please subscribe to the channel, everybody. I'm on my way to 70,000. I'm like 5,000, less than 5,000 subscribers away. My goal is to grow this channel so we can have more options, more shows just like this, etc. And please, if you haven't already, go check out that CM Punk Scrum video. As much as this was a very crazy thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. Thanks to this video, I'm gonna be able to buy some like new gear, which makes me very happy. So please
Pay
check
for
it
a
out
next
because
vacation.
it's almost
Like it's great stuff.
Actually, no, this is really sad, Will. This is really, really sad. I'm actually saving that money to pay my taxes this year, which is really freaking depressing, but it's life. I'm an adult. Shit happens. Shit's real. But anyways, I am going to finally buy a Pelican box, Will, because I've been carrying my gear. This is really freaking sad and a little bit ghetto. I've been carrying my gear in Ziploc bags to all of these trips. Ziploc bags, Will?
No, but that's the thing, Denise. It makes you a real person in ways like that you
My
are
Ziploc
still so,
bags?
that it's still so like as much as Denise's footprint has grown on the internet these last few years, that you're still gorillaing it. It's like you're still carrying around shit in Ziploc bags and still like having to cut corners here and there to get around shit. It's great. I love it.
All right, well, I'm finally going to get myself a legit case so I don't have to go around in a goddamn Ziploc bag. It's embarrassing. I'd be taping my lens. I put it in a Ziploc bag, and then I put another Ziploc bag over it as like bubble wrap, and then I tape it like super like trashy, and then I just pray that like TSA doesn't think it's like a bomb or something.
Yeah, no, TSA thought my microphone last time. When I took my podcasting mic to, this was to your wedding actually, because I had to in California still do podcasts from California. And I have pre-check, by the way. They still had me take something out of my bag because they saw something long and metal and were like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "It's a microphone." And they're like, "Okay,
They
fine."
probably thought it was like one of this like baton sticks. I don't know.
I don't know what they thought it was, but they just said, "Hey, something long and metal is in your bag." Like, no, it's a mic.
You're like, it's in my bag. It's not in my lungs, though.
My.
All right. Okay, here we go. Let's continue on. It's time for our number one pick of the week. So, oh shit, I'm first. All right, here we go. Denise's pick, first of the week, the best. All right, so I feel like the cover kind of gave it away a little bit. It's not MJF's return, but rather the follow-up on Dynamite, the promo that MJF cut on Dynamite, followed by the promo by Jon Moxley. So you can throw all of that in there together at the same time. Okay, so where do I even begin with this? First and foremost, I absolutely loved this. Everything that MJF said and did during this entire promo, I just thought was phenomenal. Okay, so first of all, I love how he came in and he was like first acting like a baby face, and then, he was talking about how dark times are in AW, but he's here and he's a leader and he's better than Moses and this and that. Jon Moxley comes out and then he just MJF just goes on another level, man. I loved not only that he brings back the whole bidding war of 2024 after he mentioned that Tony Khan is now paying him a buttload of money and this and that. But I love that he basically threw and mentioned a lot of people's names in this when he said that he was going to take the title elsewhere, take it to his friend Cody Rhodes. When he said
the American roller coaster.
Exactly. When he said he was going to work with the only Khan that counted in wrestling. And then he's like, good old Saint Nick. Then when he said that he ended up quoting Triple H and all of those little things, I just kind of feel like it was just like popping me like one after another. I was like, oh shit, like he's really going there. He's really mentioning these things. This is the kind of stuff that I get legitimately excited for, because I'm like, yeah, I love the reality aspect when it comes to promos. I just feel like, I mean, come on, you can't. It's just so much better. So personally, I love the way that he fooled the crowd in the beginning. Some people, not everybody, he successfully fooled me, and then just went on a freaking tangent, just like mentioning all these people. And then given the fact that the last time we saw him was that like infamous promo that he cut on AEW and Tony Khan in LA, like how do you follow that up? You can't really follow that up. And granted, I don't think he followed that up completely because it was two different things, but I still feel like he did enough in this Dynamite promo to really kind of make you think about him once again. And here's the thing. Earlier, someone mentioned how he was sort of overshadowed by the whole drama with the Elite and CM Punk. And I kind of feel like, nobody was really talking about MJF's return that night. And so I almost feel like this Wednesday on Dynamite, he kind of got a little bit of that conversation a little bit back, at least with this promo. So this for me was definitely my favorite thing. And then Jon Moxley, the way that he followed it all up by basically saying a lot of the things that I think needed to be said. And just to kind of bring some, granted, there's been a lot of negativity right now surrounding AEW, given all of this drama. And I feel that Jon Moxley kind of went out there and he kind of, cleaned things up just a tiny bit by, just shining some positive light for the company. And I felt that it was very much needed. So I love the way this entire segment played out. I
completely agree with you. I thought Jon Moxley, to me, was the real highlight here, mostly because I like the MJF stuff, but I felt like this was exactly what he was doing when he left. And so there was a part of me that was hoping that he had some new material because he did like the American Nightmare stuff. Like that's all stuff he said before. And so I'm hoping that this isn't going to be what MJF does till 2024. I'm hoping they have some newer stuff.
How many days till 2024?
I know, right? We've got like a year and a half. Like, I really hope they've got other stuff. But I thought Moxley came out there and
477 days from now.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. Now divide that by 7 because that's how many weeks we have to deal with that. So we also had, like I said, Moxley, I thought, really gave the rallying cry and the rallying speech and reminded us how much he's done this past year and how much he's been kind of that guy who, when times are tough, and times have been tough kind of all year, right? There's always been something that has resulted in Jon Moxley needing to be the guy to step up. And he's reminded us that he is that guy. And he reminded us that, when he talked about the things the AEW title is supposed to represent, and he kind of got, I won't say they were like digs at CM Punk, but they were kind of digs at the idea of everything that happened behind the scenes and how the AEW title was supposed to represent the opposite of that. And going forward, he's going to make sure the AEW title represents the opposite of that. I thought this was great stuff. I thought that Moxley really gave the AEW fans the rallying speech they needed after feeling maybe for the last couple of weeks like things are looking dire. So shout out to Moxley. It was great stuff.
And the man's supposed to be on vacation. Come on.
I know. He's supposed to be on vacation. He's not even supposed to be here today. Now, so are we ready for my number 1 pick?
All right, 1 second. 1 second. Yeah. Pause. Let's give a shout out to Anthony Cuff because he just sent in a super chat. So Anthony, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Seriously. All right. Now, what is your number 1 pick?
Mine is a little bit of a cheat because it's not just one thing. It's not even just 5 things. My number 1 pick is actually just Clash at the Castle. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I don't really like stadium shows. I actually kind of hate them. WrestleMania, the stadium aspect of it is my least favorite part of it. I think that they don't sound nearly as good as arena shows. And especially going to them, they're a hassle. And getting out of them is the worst. But I'll say that Clash at the Castle, just presentationally, it looked so unique. compared to pretty much every show WWE gets to put on, compared to every show that's put on a yearly basis. The crowd was very unique in the way that, like, look, we've heard crowd singing songs before, but singing Edge's theme, goddamn ruled. That was one of the coolest things I've heard from a crowd. Singing it lyric for lyric was so great. The way that the UK crowds just they bring such a different aspect to it, that when I say Clash at the Castle, what I'm specifically referring to is just the presentation, the look, the atmosphere. It was so different. Afternoon wrestling is actually kind of a cool thing, and I wish I had actually gotten to spend my afternoon watching it, especially on a Saturday, because I hate that about the Saudi shows, that it's like, yeah, it's afternoon wrestling, but I also have to watch it during my workday. So I just think that this proved that they got to keep going. They got to do this way more often. This Clash at the Castle, at the very least, needs to become a yearly tradition. I kind of hate that there wasn't at least one title change, because on paper, you can wipe the show away and you don't really lose anything creatively. But on the other hand, I do feel like it was just such a great new thing for pro wrestling, for WWE, to have this new major show. You can almost add it to like the big four, right? That like Money in the Bank's kind of lost a little bit of its prestige just because Money in the Bank stinks. And then you also have Survivor Series that's really lost a lot of its prestige over the last couple of years. And so people have always been saying, like, what is the new big four at this point? And honestly, I think Clash at the Castle becomes the new big fourth, because it felt like a major show. And that's what I'm going to give them. WWE did a great job with Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, I completely agree. The presentation was great. I loved the crowd. I thought the crowd did phenomenal. We got a super chat here from Orion Ben 666 who says the Wales crowd went, "This is our WrestleMania."
Yeah.
Yeah. Like instantly from the start, I was liking the way that they were reacting to the women, especially Bailey. I thought it was really funny. So the crowd was great, man. And like you could tell, like it was like it felt special for them, obviously. And so that was really awesome. And people are basically saying that we need to see more UK shows. I completely agree. I think if Clash at the Castle continues to be in the UK, then it's going to stay. It could be one of, like you mentioned, one of the top 4 pay-per-views for the year for WWE. Completely agree with that. Alrighty, thank you so much to Orion Ben for sending in that super chat. But now it is time, everybody, for our worst of the week. And I will tell you that I'm going first, and I'm a little bit torn here because I had to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to put this in worst of the week or be selfish and put it in best of the week. And I think that gave away my answer. But
it does.
Denise's pick for worst of the week, sadly, I have to give it to the CM Punk media scrum. And the only reason
we're tied on this one, so we can just
so you're also putting it on worst of the week. Okay. Mm-hmm. And here's where I was at. So this is both of our worst of the week. So it was one of those things where all right, I didn't know if I should be okay. Let me start all over. All right, sorry. So selfish wise, I'm just going to say this right now. The CM Punk media scrim was like the best thing for me personally, just because I made a bunch of money from that video and I'm so thankful for that. And there's new viewers here, so thank you. That's me being selfish, but me legitimately being serious as a wrestling fan, and even as a big CM Punk fan, guys. I love CM Punk, all right? I love CM Punk. However, you have to take a step back and when you look at the situation, and whether or not whatever side you're on, that's not even the point right now. The point right now is the big picture. The big picture is, at least right now, from my perspective of this, is that there are going to clearly be repercussions that are going to, affect or impact AEW. We still do not know where, everything's at in terms of, who's happy with not, what the third-party investigation is going to say, what the results of the third-party investigation are going to be, and what's going to come of that. And I do think that while a lot of people were talking about pro wrestling this weekend because they were talking about the CM Punk scrum, trust me, yesterday I was at Social Gloves, and there's a lot of people that, are casual wrestling fans, non-wrestling fans, whatever their situation is. So many people were coming up to me to talk about this single thing. Everybody wanted to hear thoughts opinions, work, shoot, not a work, is a work, whatever. Everybody wanted to talk about everything that encompassed that single item. Everybody was asking me about the scrum. Everybody was mentioning the video, you name it. It had people talking. But so yeah, in that sense, it's like, okay, people are talking about wrestling, people are talking about CM Punk, but you got to take a step back and look at how this is going to impact AEW in the long run. So that is why I have to put it at my worst of the week. Will, what's your reasoning?
I have to put it at my worst of the week, mainly because of I could see things like Tony Khan saw them initially, which is Tony Khan did an interview with, I want to say it was DS last week, and he was asked about some of the turmoil backstage in AEW. And Tony Khan said that, sometimes the wrestling people don't get along, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, we're pro wrestling. We can settle this in a ring. And there was maybe even a point when CM Punk left that press scrum where you could still say there's some money to be made from this. At the end of the day, FTR and CM Punk versus the Elite is something people will want to see. And the fact that there's real life heat and real life turmoil will get people interested in the promos and all of that. And it's going to be something that could make for some really great television. I think even in that scrum, even as you're watching CM Punk bury the EVPs, bury Cole Cabana, bury everybody, and Hangman Adam Page as well, you're still looking at this as there's money to be made here. And then everything that transpired after is where it suddenly went from something that, again, I'm not saying it was a work, and I'm never saying it was a work. Don't ever put in my mouth that I said it was a work. What I'm saying is that you can make a work out of anything. That in pro wrestling, you made a work out of Matt Hardy and Edge, right? You had made a work out of Charlotte and Becky. You have made a work out of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. You can make a work out of anything because whether it's real, whether it's fake, the fact is when it's interesting, you can make money. And people were interested in what was going down here. And then once it turned violent, then you realize that not only is there no money to be made here now it's doing the opposite, which is now it's destructive. Now all of a sudden, world championship programs, I mean, Punk was already injured. We didn't know that at the time, but world championship programs up in smoke. Trios titles and everything that you had built to with that tournament up in smoke. The foundational pieces of the Elite. One of the earliest things reported out of this is that there were rumors that the Elite was talking about walking from AEW because of all of this. And so thinking about the foundational pieces of all Elite wrestling. Look at that belt behind Denise right there. How that E has is the highlighted part of all Elite wrestling. That thinking about the foundational pieces and how they might not be there. That's insane. And thinking about the idea that a company that was formed to really fill a void in pro wrestling that we've had, we were talking about last year, how great things were for pro wrestlers, how there's a place you can go, no matter who you are, there's a place to go and you get to perform in front of live and active crowds, whether you're in WWE and AEW, and that hadn't been a thing since the 90s. And I say that because did you ever hear WCW crowds in those last 2 years? Oh my God. But anyway, and just to think that something had literally jeopardized all of that sucks. It sucks. And yeah, it was great for us as content creators. Absolutely. CM Punk as a whole has been great for us as content creators. Are you kidding me? The first dance pretty much changed my career. So I get it. CM Punk is to this day, and he probably will continue to be a moneymaker for the content creators. But as a fan, I just hated to see how all of this transpired. I hate the idea that there's no work that can come of this right now. And it made me sad. I was sad as a fan. And That's what makes it my worst. Anything that actively harms pro wrestling as a whole is always going to be my worst pick on this show. Spoilers.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I feel like, yeah, it's just, man, and I was, when you were touching on the whole thing about, AEW being something that was really needed at a certain point, and it's true. Like, think about how many people have been able to make a living, make a career because AEW was an option. Like, so many of these people, it's like there was a legitimate place now where you can actually have a decent life and make decent income that isn't WWE. And so not only that, like you wanted to add something?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I know
Yeah.
wrestlers who literally
Yeah.
left WWE, and I'm not gonna say what they're making, but I will say that it matched their salary from, and I'm talking main roster. Like literally, to think that wasn't even possible 3 years ago. To think about the idea that to do the same or even less work and get the same main roster pay, that sounds insane. And to think, and I don't think AEW is dying. Keep in mind, I don't think that's the case. I think that as long as they still have funding, and
It's just that, like, here's another thing, Will. Like, here's another thing. Like, when is it that they're supposed to be like renegotiating their television contract deal? Because think about it. Right now, they need to get their best ratings, right? They need to do so to keep proving themselves to Warner and all of that to make sure that, everything's great, right? And it's like they lost some of their key stars in the Elite and CM Punk. Like, this is right now the point where you needed those people to get those bigger ratings so that when the time comes to negotiate their new TV deal, that they're still getting, more or, more money or whatever the situation is. It's like
and
that
speaking of
does
which, read my
impact
report.
AEW.
Read my report on that, by the way, FightfulSelect.com, because I did speak with Warner Media, what are they now? Warner Brothers Discovery, and there is, I will say that there's not a whole lot of worry about that as long as they continue doing what they're doing. It's a matter of losing people. Yeah, I agree, and that's something to be concerned about. Like the positive side of this, I guess, coming out of it is that, hey guys, my favorite wrestler of all time is Bryan Danielson, and that motherfucker's about to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I'm literally looking at a poster of Bryan right behind this monitor right here. And
so your pick too, because he's my pick too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
look at his path. He's the only, literally he's
Makes
gonna beat all of the former AEW World Champions and everybody he's lost to this year. He's gonna win the title, and that's gonna be a cool thing.
Alrighty. All right. So I know this conversation could really go on and on and on, but we are going to continue talking about it as the weeks come by, obviously. When we're back here once again for After the Week next week. Who knows what the hell is going to happen in wrestling this week? We got a lot that's obviously going to be taking place. Will, just a quick little shimmy, I guess. I don't know, shimmy. Oh, I'm making up words now. It's early Sunday morning, but Will, what are you most looking forward to this wrestling week, or what's something that you're definitely going to be watching?
All of the wrestling, of course. But I'd say this coming week, I am really looking forward to, I think, like, oddly enough, we haven't seen Moxley take on Sammy Guevara since
2 years.
Bash at the Beach. Yes, Bash at the Beach. And well, that was at Miami. That was in January of 2020. And so almost 2.5 years. I think they had a fun match that first time around. We're looking at kind of two different performers. Not in ways you would really think, but I'm looking forward to seeing those guys go at it again. And honestly, just seeing how things continue to recover. I'm really looking forward to what the results are. Like, I'm still nervous about it. I want to know what the results of the investigation are going to end up being and how this affects things going forward.
Yeah, completely. God, I know that MJF has been named as one of the people that, saw everything. I would love to know what he saw and I would love to just read everything that, is going to come out in those documents for the investigation, whatever, right? Anyways, So yeah, same thing for me. It's going to be the normal wrestling week, just, all of everything that's happening. I'll be doing Raw, NXT, AEW, Dynamite, SmackDown, Rampage, etc. All of that good stuff. I will be next weekend. I'll be in San Antonio for Mission Pro Wrestling. So that'll be fun. And then I'll be flying back here Sunday morning and then literally like hopping on to do this show. So it's going to be kind of nuts. Let's hope that my plane arrives
on earth.
If I'm not here, Will, it's because my plane didn't arrive on time, but I should be landing. Hold on. I'm landing here in LA like around 7 a.m. So, so hopefully we're all good in terms of flights and stuff like that, but we'll keep you posted. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Will, please plug in what you'd like to plug in before we wrap.
Follow me on Twitter, WilliamRBR. I do stuff for Fightful, youtube.com/Fightful.
All righty.
That's where you find me.
And same thing for me at _ Denise Salcedo on Twitter and Instagram. I'm trying to get to 100K on Twitter by the end of this year. It feels kind of impossible right now, but if you haven't followed me, make sure to do so. Follow Will as well. All of the links to follow both of us are in the description box below. On top of that, we will catch you next week here on After the Week. And then also click that subscribe button. I got plenty of content that's coming here on this channel. Lots of great stuff. I still need to edit a video that Will and I did together over at AEW All Outside.
That stuff is all like ancient now.
It's ancient now, but we're still gonna post it.
Yeah, we'll post it, but that stuff was ancient. Yeah, that stuff was ancient. Honestly, the moment All Out ended, but because
we didn't know. Yeah. I mean, had we known, we would have had some good material, but we didn't know that all of this was going to happen. So there's going to be some outdated stuff, but whatever. I'm going to, shimmy it up, and shimmy's my new favorite word, and put something together.
Furry is also her new favorite word.
Oh, God. That was centuries ago. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love and appreciate you all. Click that subscribe button. See you next week. Bye, everyone.